The Nintendo Switch is the only big console right now that actually functions as a portable system as well. And with that being the case, it makes sense that we would see games that would normally be found on the mobile platform appear on the eShop. Tower of Babel is the clearest example of this. The game is a runner, which in this case means you start at point A with the goal of being to get to point B. Games of this type are a dime a dozen on mobile platforms like iOS and Android. The app stores for both are absolutely polluted with cheap knockoffs and or incomplete runner games. Even Mario has gotten in on the action with Mario Run, which came out a couple years ago. What needs to be defined is what makes a runner game good and how many of them do we actually need. Let's start with Tower of Babel. The game's graphical style is cel-shaded and actually looks pretty good. However, the environments themselves seem a little bit uninspired and somewhat monotonous. This is even more drilled home by the incessant EDM music that pumps over the levels. I understand the use of EDM music, however, it just doesn't fit with the overall tone of the environments. It's weird to see a little knight running up a tower, an Aztec tower, with what is essentially rave music playing over it. The game itself would function fine without a story, however, there is an attempt at the beginning to tell one. You are charged with running up a series of towers, collecting gems, in order to light a beacon at the top. That beacon would restore light to the decimated lands which have been affected by some sort of blight. Once you have lit the beacon, you then have to make your way back down the tower, back the way you came, as it collapses around you. Each area consists of 3 towers with varying difficulties and changes in core gameplay. The first tower only has you moving on 1 plane, whereas the second has 2, and then of course the third has 3 planes of movement. Each level has different obstacles, and in order to get around them, you can change the movement speed at which you are traveling, you can jump, and you can also do a little duck charge to get under objects. And movement is really where the problems start. The first few levels of the game are okay, but as you progress further, you begin to encounter issues that hinder your movement. And these issues are beyond the level of difficulty of the game itself. These are frame rate issues and general choppiness. They really hinder your ability to go under objects, jump around objects, and slow it down to the point where it just becomes almost unplayable and frustrating. About an hour and a half into the game, I really started to pay attention to all the issues that I'd experienced so far. I don't want to completely trash this game out because it seems that the developer did try, so I'll just quickly list some of the issues I noticed in the hopes that they could potentially be patched out or fixed before more people buy this game. The indicator in the bottom right that shows how much you have left of the tower to complete is arbitrary and seems non-functional. Some of the obstacles are not solid and can be easily passed through. There are parts of the game that just seem generally unfinished or placeholders, specifically the pause screens. At one point it even shows the incorrect buttons. One of the warning signs is that the description on the eShop isn't even in a correct sentence. The incessant EDM soundtrack begins to become annoying and there's no way to turn it off. As it stands right now, Tower of Babel has the potential to be a good runner game and would be fun to play portably, but it needs some serious overhaul. I hope that the developers can get some solid feedback on this on how to improve the game and put those changes into effect.